he over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen. His coat that his daddy made him ended up with blood on it. The coat that he had, the wife used it as evidence against him. And now he has fine linen. We ain't never seen no fine linen, not no fine linen like that. And he put a gold chain about his neck. A gold chain. Not what this stuff that they wear around their neck now. It got nothing to do with this gold chain Joseph had around his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he made. And they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. They had to bow before Joseph. Look at God. Look at God. Yes. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in the land of Egypt. Joseph is in charge. Joseph rose with might and triumph. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. God told Joseph at the beginning that they gonna bow down to you. You gonna be the head and not the tail. All that you put your hands to do will prosper and succeed. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. That's to us today. If the vision is tarry, God has told you something, wait on it. Don't give up. Remember, Joseph was 17 years old when he started out.
All right.
It has been 13 years before he sees his dream being manifested. How long are we willing to wait? We are so used to the microwave system, we want it right now. And if God don't do it when we say do it, we go questioning God. Now where's God? God, you said that you would do this and you would do that. I've been waiting for a month. Been waiting for 2 years. I've been waiting for 5 years and you ain't did nothing yet. Joseph waited for 13 years. 13 years Joseph remained faithful to God. God was testing Joseph. Go to Psalms 105, and I had never read this before. Psalm 105, he set a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for his servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him. The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance. That's Psalms 105. The famine came, just like Joseph said it would. God used the wicked act of rejection to bring salvation. All that Joseph did, just like Christ, the wicked act of rejecting, Christ was rejected and sold. Joseph was rejected by his brothers and sold to bring about salvation. How did Joseph bring salvation? We're going to find out how he brought the salvation. Verse number 56, and the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn, because that all the famine was sore in all the land. The famine was all over the land. Nobody had no food. Joseph was the only one that had the food in Egypt, because Joseph interpreted the dream. God gave Pharaoh that dream, and Joseph was in place to interpret that dream. So Joseph interpreted the dream, so therefore all the food was in Egypt. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. Just wait on it. Don't get weary and well doing. Stand fast and where God has placed you. And Jacob, now we go to Jacob, Joseph's father. They hungry in Egypt. They hungry in Canaan. They hungry. So Joseph here, the daddy here, there's some food over in Egypt. So we gonna send them boys over there. Them boys that he can't depend on. He can't depend on them boys anyway. But he sent them over there to eat. So he gonna send them over there and see if any food. They hungry too. So when they got there, they ain't mind going because I'm hungry too. So why sit we here and die when there's food over there in Egypt? Genesis 42:1 says, now when Joseph saw that there was corn in Egypt, Joseph said unto his sons, why do you look on one another? And he said, behold, I've heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. All right, you. Oh, the vision tarry, wait on it. The brothers come before Joseph, and Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. Joseph knew his brethren, but they didn't know him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, you are spies. To see the nakedness of the land you have come. Joseph spoke to them harshly because he knew them. He knew them. He knew that they were his brothers. They didn't know Joseph. So they're before Joseph, second in command of Egypt. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. Joseph gives them a hard time, put them in jail for 3 days, and did not tell them who he is. After Joseph released them from jail and told them to go home and bring back Benjamin. Benjamin was Joseph's brother by his mother Rachel. All these other brothers were his half-brothers. Benjamin was the only brother that had the same mother and father. So after they was thrown into prison, guilt came upon them because of the hard task that they was going through. Now we over here in Egypt. Now things are not going so well for us. We done been in prison for 3 days. So now they talking among themselves, verse number 21, and they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. Joseph pleaded with his brothers not to throw him in that pit. But because they hated him so much and did not want to see his dream manifested, they threw him in the pit anyway. Now they're having a flashback. Remember when we took Joseph and we threw him in this prison? That's why this happened to us now. That's why we in here over in Egypt, and now we having a hard time because we did not listen to our brother when he begged us not to throw him into the pit. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and you will not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. His blood is required upon your hand. They thinking Joseph dead. Y'all did it. If I tried to tell y'all not to throw that child in that pit, I made a plan that I was coming back to get him and take him to his father, make sure he get back to his daddy. But when I got back there, y'all done sold him to the Ishmaelites. Y'all done sold him. I don't know. Now I can't take him back to daddy. I told y'all, if y'all had to listen to me, there's always a voice to tell you to do what's right. There's always that little still small voice telling you to do what's right. But when we choose to do what's right, it's a whole nother story. So when the rubber meets the road and it comes back to you, no, that's why it happened like that. And they knew not. And they knew not that Joseph understood them. For he spake unto them by an interpreter. Joseph wasn't even speaking their language. He's saying that hearing the conversation between them. Now Joseph know what really happened. He know what happened. Y'all know what happened. Joseph heard him talking about what they should have done, what they could have done, and what they didn't do. So Joseph he was speaking to them and with an interpreter. He was not even speaking their language, so therefore they had no idea that it was Joseph, their brother. And he turned himself about from them and wept. Joseph went to crying because he heard how his brothers did, and returned to them again and communed with them, and took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes. Though the vision tarried, wait on it. Yeah. So they goes home back to their father to bring back Benjamin. Jacob said, no, you ain't taking that son. You ain't taking that one. My favorite child is gone. You don't come back home without Simeon. Now you think I'm going to send Benjamin? Y'all out y'all mind. Y'all just killing up a church, and y'all coming back here without the ones that I really love. Y'all ain't taking Benjamin. Forget it, you ain't taking Benjamin. Oh, but that belly went to growling. Got hungry. He done ate all the food that they brought back. So when all the food ran out, Jacob agreed to let Benjamin go. They returned to Egypt with Benjamin. Verse number 16, and when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home and slay and make ready for these men, and we shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men unto Joseph's house. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in the hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. Though the vision tarried, wait on it. It's going to happen just like God said it's going to happen. Doubt not, fret not. If God said it, it shall surely come to pass. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. Don't be discouraged. Don't give up hope, but hold fast unto God's word. And when Joseph came home, I read that part. Genesis 45 and verse 1. When Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them, they stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud. And Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard him. Joseph is so loud. He's behind closed doors. But he's weeping so loud until everybody could hear him. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, but they were troubled at his presence. Oh, they scared now. They scared now. Joseph is second in command. He can have all their necks. Just cut them off. Just cut the neck off. Kill them. Yeah, get rid of them. Don't want to see them no more. They scared now. Because they thought, they ain't think Joseph was going to be second in command. They ain't thought Joseph was going to be over them. I stop you from that. I cut that off. I put you in that pit. And then I sold you as a slave. So I would never think that you are second in command, that you are the governor of the land. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that you sold me hither. But God did send me before you to preserve life. Right. The wicked act of someone brought about salvation to others. The wicked act of rejection brought about salvation. Though the vision tarry, wait on it. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. We done been through 2 years of famine. We got 5 more years to go through. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prosperity in the earth and to save your lives for a greater deliverance. A wicked act of rejection brought about salvation. Joseph was able to provide them with food that would keep them living. The book of Job, the story of Joseph reminds me so much of what Christ did for us. So now it was not that you sent me hither, but God. So it ain't about you. You wouldn't have been able to do this if God hadn't allowed it. God had a perfect plan of salvation that he had put in place, that he used your wicked rejection of me to save your soul, to save your lives. So it was not that you sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout the land of Egypt. Haste ye and go to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come unto me, tarry not. Though he sent for his dad, he's not mad at his brothers. He knew that all this was God according to God's plan. God had a plan so that Joseph could deliver them in a time of need. And he also wrote this so that we could be encouraged. It's written for our learning, that we would gain faith, that we would trust God, that if God can do it for Joseph, he'll do it for us too. God has no respect of person. So if it's ever been done for anybody else, God will do it for you too. So though the vision tarry, wait on it.